Toy Lab.
Hi, I'm Tonya. In this video, I'm showing you the best recipe for dark chocolate ice cream using your countertop ice cream freezer. And beyond that, I'm going to show you how to use these odd items to adapt this recipe so that you always have on hand the best dark chocolate ice cream ever to serve your family and friends. If you've never made homemade chocolate ice cream before, this recipe can be a little bit intimidating, but it is so worth it. I have tried, I bet 15 to 20 different chocolate ice cream recipes. And this one, hands down, is the very best. In fact, in preparation for this video, I thought, oh, wow, that looks like a really good chocolate ice cream recipe. So I tried a different dark chocolate ice cream recipe, and no, my husband is like, what, but make that other kind. And I agree, this is the very best out of all of them. So just roll your shoulders back and stay with me. We have the chocolate base that we're going to make. It takes two different kinds of chocolate, good old Hershey's chocolate cocoa and Ghirardelli's dark chocolate. You can use any kind of bittersweet chocolate you have. I find that the Ghirardelli's bag of chips is so handy and convenient. It takes sugar in the chocolate sauce and also coffee. Coffee? You may be saying, but Tonya, I don't like coffee. I agree with you 100%. Coffee is yucky. I don't know why. Well, I guess for the caffeine. But coffee does not taste good. For some reason, however, coffee brings out the flavor of the chocolate. I guarantee you will not taste coffee at all. I would not be making this recipe as many times as I have if I could taste the coffee. Now, if you are really worried about going to all this trouble and tasting coffee in your ice cream, use half of the coffee and half water. And if you don't even have a way of making coffee at your house, like me, I use instant coffee. Just a little bit of instant coffee in some hot water and you get it just fine. So that's the chocolate base. Then for the ice cream base, it takes whole milk. I only have 1%. Okay, use 1%, that'd be fine. But you must use heavy whipping cream. Heavy whipping cream, some cornstarch to thicken the ice cream, Caro syrup, salt, whatever kind of salt you like. It's only 1/8 teaspoon. It's just a teeny tiny bit. This is the surprise ingredient, cream cheese. I always use the Neufchâtel cheese. I don't know how to pronounce that. You probably do. The Neufchâtel cheese works exactly the same as cream cheese. It's 1/3 of the fat of cream cheese. I'm making ice cream with cream and whole milk, so I really am not saving any calories by using 1/3 fat Neufchâtel cheese instead of cream cheese. Use either one, it doesn't matter. And we need some cornstarch for thickener. Let's get started. We'll make the chocolate syrup. It's a 1/2 cup of sugar. Half cup of Hershey's cocoa. Half cup of coffee, and while you weren't looking, I diluted the coffee with water even more. Now, I'm going to whisk this together on the stove and bring it to a boil. Let it boil just for 30 seconds, and then I will come back and add the 1.5 ounces of dark chocolate. If I had a small child at home, I would have them count to see how many of the Ghirardelli 60% dark chocolate chips make 1.5 ounces of dark chocolate. I don't. I will be back. The coffee, cocoa, and sugar have boiled for 30 seconds, so that's nice and hot, and the sugar is all dissolved. Now we add the 1.5 ounces of dark chocolate chips. Dark chocolate can be any kind, but we're having the chips. You may be wondering, well, what if I don't have a kitchen scale, right? I'm going to count them for you. Let's count how many dark chocolate chips of Ghirardelli Premium Baking 60% cocoa dark chocolate chips make 1.5 ounces. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44 chips make 1.5 ounces. I'm gonna have to write that down before I forget. You're just gonna let the heat do its work. Melt those chips into the chocolate syrup and then whisk it. I'll be back in a minute or so to whisk and then start building the ice cream base. Chocolate should melt easily in this warm liquid. Lovely. Now in I think it's a large size bowl, 3 tablespoons of cream cheese, tiny bit of salt, 1/8 teaspoon, and our chocolate syrup. We want to whisk that cream cheese until it's smooth. I want all the chocolate syrup goodness. It helps if your cream cheese is at room temperature. I like using the clear glass, the Pyrex bowls, because then you can look through and see if there's any white cream cheese that didn't get mixed in. It's looking very delicious and smooth to me. I will set aside the chocolate for later. Now we're going to build the ice cream base. There's 2 different steps. We're going to use cornstarch to thicken the ice cream, but you can't just put plain old cornstarch in a recipe. You have to dilute it down first. Cornstarch will be 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. This is 2 cups of milk. You're just going to put a little bit of the milk in with the cornstarch, just to dissolve that cornstarch. Simply whisk it with a fork. And I can set that cornstarch aside. Now, the ice cream itself, we need to heat on the stove, and then we'll add the cornstarch slurry to thicken it. And then the last thing is we'll add the chocolate. So the rest of our milk, the 2 cups minus whatever we put in with the cornstarch. One cup of heavy cream. Half teaspoon of sugar. and 2 tablespoons light corn syrup. Now, the plan is to heat the ice cream base on the stove, let it come to a rolling boil for 4 minutes. I'll be stirring to dissolve the sugar. Then I'll bring it back here after it's been in a rolling boil for 4 minutes, and we'll pour in the cornstarch slurry. If I did this on the stove, the cornstarch slurry would cause the boiling milk cream ice cream base to boil over. And yes, that has happened to me more than once because I forget. I have to take the pot off the heat to bring in the cornstarch slurry. Then we'll heat it again before adding the chocolate. I'll be back. It didn't boil over, but you know I was watching it. And once I had to adjust the temperature down a tiny bit. Make sure that cornstarch is mixed in with that milk for the slurry. Pour it in, and this is the point if you did this under the heat. Oh, look, it's even doing it now. See how it's it's foaming and bubbling up? If the heat was on, it's all over your stove. I bring it back to a boil and whisk for a minute to thicken this ice cream base. Then I'll come back and add the chocolate. See you soon. Now, it doesn't feel like the ice cream base is that much more thick, but don't worry, it's enough. Now the ice cream base goes into the chocolate syrup a little bit out of time, about a quarter of the base each time. This recipe is from a cookbook, Jeni's Splendid Ice Cream. I've tried several of the ice cream recipes in it, and they are so good. And they're all complicated, the same style. But once you make Jeni's Splendid Ice Cream style with all these different bowls and cooking and slurries and bases and syrups, once you get the hang of what she does, it makes it so much easier because familiarity breeds something good, I think. Familiarity breeds ease and success. And then I read the bio in Jeni's Splendid Ice Cream recipe book. She's in Tennessee. We took a trip to Tennessee, not because of Jeni, but because of Elvis and, other reasons like that. She has a store, Jeni's Splendid Ice Cream, in Nashville. And of course we went to Grand Ole Opry and had to go to Jeni's Splendid Ice Cream. It was so much fun to try this dark chocolate ice cream recipe from her storefront. And then wouldn't you know, we were visiting some Civil War homes in Franklin, Tennessee. Jeni's Splendid Ice Cream is in Franklin, Tennessee also. She happened to be closed when we were there, unfortunately. But that's what's fun about traveling. You get to experience the familiar ice cream and yet be surprised by how wonderful it is. And then that she shares her recipe with the world makes it that much better. Now, I told you we were making this ice cream with this big plastic baggie, and it was going to make things easier. It was a shortcut. Right now, I'm showing you what she says to do in the recipe for Jeni's Splendid Ice Cream, dark chocolate ice cream. We need to chill down this ice cream base before we put it in the ice cream freezer. So we'll do that by putting it in the Baggie into an ice bath, which is what she says to do in her recipe. This is so much easier with someone else around to hold. Oh, we got this. Oh yeah. Get all that goodness. I'm going to pour some extra ice water on top. We want the ice cream base to cool down before we put it in the freezer. About 30 minutes. We are letting this ice cream mix cool down before putting it in the ice cream maker. But here's how you can use the Baggie and your freezer, the freezer meal technique, to always have on hand some of Jeni Splendid ice cream, dark chocolate ice cream, the best ice cream ever. I told you I'd show you two different methods, one using the Baggie. Here is this base, only frozen flat in the freezer. So if I want to make some of Jeni Splendid ice cream in the afternoon, I would just pull this out and set it on the counter until it softens a little bit, and then use my ice cream machine to make fresh dark chocolate ice cream. Or I can take this frozen bag of ice cream base and put it in the refrigerator overnight. Then the next day, easily use my countertop ice cream maker to make some fresh dark chocolate ice cream, which would be so delicious. This one's going back in the freezer for another day. This one is going, well, it's not going anywhere. It's staying on the counter until it's ready to put in the ice cream maker. I'll see you in about an hour. Our ice cream base is cool. I have my Cuisinart countertop ice cream maker. This is so cold it's hard to touch. This is the freezer itself, and it needs to be frozen for, gosh, overnight at least. So this is what's going to make the ice cream cold enough to, the ice cream base cold enough to change into ice cream. This is the thing that will stir to keep the ice cream moving and aerated. And the top is a part of keeping everything moving and safe. You may remember the old-fashioned ones, the old-fashioned ice cream makers. Instead of having a frozen part of the big ice cream makers, you would put ice and rock salt around, and then the machine would stir just like this machine is going to stir, but instead you had to make sure that there was ice and rock salt to freeze the ice cream. This is so much easier. I'm going to turn it on and cut a hole in the bottom of the dark chocolate ice cream mix and let it drain in. It will take about 30 minutes of the machine stirring to create this delicious ice cream. Let's see if I can put it in the center of the camera so you can see better. There we go. All right, it's gonna be noisy. So delicious. See you in 30 minutes. Oh, jeez. look at how different ice cream is now. Very thick and creamy, not at all runny like you saw when it came out of that Ziploc baggie to go into this ice cream maker. Now, you could just serve it up now. You could eat it straight from You could serve it up right now. You could eat it straight from this ice cream machine. But what I prefer, and my secret freezer meal technique, is to use this odd gooey thing. All right, this is for candy making, for making bath bombs. It's silicone. I'm going to scoop the ice cream into these rounded molds and pop it in the freezer. I'm spraying with some olive oil spray, some cooking spray, just to make it easier for the ice cream to pop out. It's silicone, so it comes off easy anyway. Here's how I work. I'm using my my ice cream scoop working fast, so I can get, I forgot. This is so gooey that I need to put it on something flat to put it in the freezer, the silicone thing. Otherwise, the ice cream will become misshapen. You could also put the ice cream in a container, like a pan or a Tupperware. I prefer these rounded scoops to freeze it in these rounded little pockets. I'm going to put this in the freezer and then get the next one going. Have to get the last bit of ice cream out. Don't want to let it melt and go to waste. Pop this in the freezer and I will see you after it freezes. Let's look at how pretty these chocolate ice creams come out of this silicone mold. I'm going to put it in this container. This is Sterlite. I really like using this for freezer things because the top has this rubberized gasket and it just snaps in place, which means you're not peeling back the lids, which causes them to break. When I'm putting the ice cream into this container for the freezer, it will stick on the bottom. I don't want to lose my ice cream that way. No sticky pieces on the bottom, so I am using wax paper. All right. Oh, look how easy that was. Ooh, that was fun. Ugh. So delicious and easy to serve. See, if I had to scoop out of a container that was in the freezer, then it would be hard to do because the ice cream is hard. So the benefit of doing the freezer meal technique with this strange, goofy, blue, gooey, half circle, half sphere container is that to serve people, I don't have to scoop frozen ice cream. See? I don't have to wait for the ice cream to soften and get all runny before I can scoop it out. I just need to take the sphere out and serve it. And it is delicious. I have all sorts of resources in the description below. You can check out where to find this circle cooling rack and this goofy blue silicone sphere case, even the Sterlite freezer case that I like. Freezer meals are wonderful for helping you save time and money. And you have something always to pull out of your freezer for a treat. Just for one person, yourself, because we deserve a treat, especially dark chocolate ice cream, or for a whole group of people. I'm Tonya. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, or comment, especially below. It helps YouTube put my videos in front of other people who are interested in making their lives easier with freezer meals. See you next time. So good. Oh, baby. Yeah.
Joy Lab. Learning done right.
Learn more with Joy Lab. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Visit us at www.joylab.biz. Thank you.